Welcome to another episode of Play It Smart. So for today's topic is going to be green hydrogen. So when you hear or encounter the word green hydrogen, what's the first thing that comes into your mind? No, it's not called green hydrogen because it's colored in green, but green gets its name from how sustainable, environmentally friendly it is. Okay, moving on. So this works by a process named electrolysis, which is, in brief, a chemical reaction that separates two substances. Or it could be used to generate electricity in another causes, but not for this one. Okay. So, for this thing, we're going to do something named electrolysis of water. Yes, you heard me right. We're going to go ahead and do electrolysis of water, which is splitting water molecules H2O into both hydrogen and oxygen. So in here we have a diagram which shows us how does the electrolysis of water work, and we do it so we can get the hydrogen. So we have two things, an anode and a cathode. But I need to know one more thing, that in the electrolysis you need some energy to power it all up. And don't worry, we don't use fuel or anything that can cause any sort of combustions, but instead we use some things that are environmentally friendly, like for example wind, solar panels. It depends on like whatever you use is and what it's mainly used for. Okay, so in the anode we're going to find oxygen because it's negatively charged and it works like magnets. Opposite poles attract. So yes, as we thought, the oxygen is negative and the hydrogen, here's the tricky part. So hydrogen, it's mainly neutrally charged, like it doesn't really carry a certain like charge. It can be both positive and negative, but it just depends on what our uses is. So for this time, it's going to be positive because we need it to be positive. Okay? So now that we went ahead and we know that oxygen is going to go in here and the hydrogen is going to go in there, what's going to really go ahead and move things out and help us take it to the another level? And yeah, it's going to be a surprise, but let's just finish this up. So we're going to use something named a catalyst, which is, in brief, a substance that speeds up a chemical reaction. And yes, it's permanently, not temporarily, okay? So it's just an extra information, but the catalyst we usually use in here, it's, if we want it to be acidic, it's going to be a solution like sulfuric acid, or if we want it to be kind of alkaline, the solution would be like potassium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide. It depends. Okay, moving on. So after the electrolysis, what happens to the hydrogen? So after we split the water using electrolysis, we're going to have the hydrogen gas into our hands. But how do we go ahead and do we store it or do we transport it? It depends on where you're going to use it. But there are the three main ways if you're going to store it. But mainly we need it to be compressed, because it's a gas right now. Okay? But we can use this hydrogen in something really cool. And guess what it's named? Fuel cells. So for fuel cells, what really happens is that after we split the water and we go ahead and store the hydrogen in tanks so we can use it later to make electricity, the oxygen is usually released into the air or collected separately. So, time for our big idol in here, which is fuel cells. So, in fuel cells, we take the hydrogen gas that was ahead and split from earlier, and we mix it with the oxygen from the air, or if we went ahead and stored it. And this creates electricity from water and heat. So it's kind of opposite electrolysis. Instead of splitting the water, we're putting hydrogen and the oxygen back together to get the energy. We need it first to be separated, and then we need it again to be put back together. Yeah, kind of like an error, I know, but it's worth it. What is a fuel cells and how does it really work? So inside of the fuel cells, the hydrogen enters and splits into protons. The hydrogen positive and the electrons which are negative. Okay? The electrons go through a wire. This creates electricity. The protons move through a membrane. They meet with the oxygen on the other side and form water, which is H2O. Final result, electricity, water, and heat. No pollution. Yay! So yeah, it kind of works like that. We needed first the electrolysis to split and so we can get our clean hydrogen. And then we need it for fuel cells. And by the way, fuel cells are mainly added in cars and like these kind of aircrafts and these kind of stuff. Or maybe in other mechanics or like other engines or like, it depends on your uses, okay? But it's mainly known for adding it into cars. And yes, that can help you water your car. Yes, you can water your car and yeah, get electricity to go ahead and fuel it up. This would be actually a great invention if it's actually added into cars. So, why fuel cells are actually amazing? Fuel cells are super useful because they don't release any pollution, only water. They could be used in cars, trucks, trains, houses, even spacecrafts. Yes, you heard it right, spacecrafts. They give us a way to use clean hydrogen as fuel. How amazing. Thank you so much for hearing me out, and please encounter subscribing and liking this video. So yeah, thank you so much for your time and bye. See you in another episode and for another adventure.